Hi guys, hope you are all well. Today's story brings us to Canada, precisely the city of Vancouver. It written by Liam. But before we start the story, get some drink, and please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for more videos. Thank you. This happened about 1 year ago in a Christmas night. I'm currently in a situation I don't know how to handle or even react. I'll tell the story from the very beginning so that you can also understand how I feel, with part of me feeling really bad for what my neighbor is going through. So, a few months ago, I met this person for the first time on the bus home. I usually take 2 buses, one from work to the bus station and then the bus from the station to home. He entered the bus and was going through some crisis and was talking loudly and saying things to people I didn't really understand. He kinds of slurs his words, plus with the accent, plus English being my second language. But he was being disruptive anyways. The second time I met him on the bus to work very early in the morning with the bus almost empty, except for a few people, he was again in the midst of an episode, talking to people that weren't there. Then he saw me and started really staring at me, looking under my chair, then laughing to himself and making comments as if I was doing something wrong or I was dressed inappropriately. He kept going until I left the bus. Then, fast forward a few months later, he appeared at my doorstep. He seemed fine at first, so I opened the door, but TBH, his demeanor was not really friendly. He was asking me if I was all right, but in a kind of angry tone. I didn't answer and closed the door, but he kept coming and, still talking to other people that weren't there, kept knocking on my door harder each time and ultimately tried to open the door, squeezing his hand through the letterbox to our door handle. Thankfully, it was locked, and no keys were there. I called the police, and when they came, he ran away. He had a black jacket, dark jeans, boots, dark hat. But then he came back, but with a more relaxed stance. Apparently, this is what he told the police. He heard some woman, he said, prostitute, screaming, and that led him to our house. He thought we were being held hostage and that he was worried. But then, why would he run away from the police in the first place instead of going to them for help? Before the police came, he gave up trying to open the door and took a piece of paper with his number and name on it. He eventually went away and the police stood there for a while, making sure he wouldn't come back. The police told me they always receive calls related to him, so no stalking, I guess. Anyone but that, if he appears, to call emergencies again. Christmas Eve painted the city in a hush of white. Earlier revelry had melted into a soft reverence, the festive lights now twinkling serenely through a pristine blanket of snow. My work as a nurse kept me tethered to the hospital's glow, while the city outside drifted into a winter slumber. Solitude, my constant companion since moving to my cozy apartment on the outskirts, wasn't unwelcome tonight. I donned my coat, the crisp air nipping at my cheeks as I stepped into the quiet street. Reaching my apartment, I let out a sigh of contentment. Inside, the aroma of cinnamon and pine needles from the Christmas tree welcomed me like an old friend. I lit the fireplace, flames licking at the logs with a comforting crackle. Curling up on the armchair, book in hand, I sipped my cocoa, the warmth seeping into my bones. Suddenly, a flicker at the edge of my vision. A shadow, wispy and translucent, drifted past the window, a fleeting silhouette against the moonlit snow. My heart lurched, the cocoa forgotten in my trembling hands. Was it a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination, fueled by the ghost stories of Christmas past? I crept to the window, peering out into the swirling snow, and there it was again, standing beneath the skeletal branches of the old oak tree, a woman in a flowing white gown, her hair like spun moonlight. Her face, barely discernible through the veil of falling snow, held an expression of profound sadness, terror, icy and sharp, snaked down my spine. My mind raced. The next day. The cold morning air nipped at my cheeks as I stepped out onto the porch, the memory of the previous night's encounter dancing in the corners of my mind. Then, my eyes caught a glint of white under the skeletal branches of the old oak tree. A single sheet of paper, pristine against the snow, beckoned me closer. My heart clenched, curiosity as I bent down and picked it up. Unfolding the paper, my breath hitched. In elegant, swirling script, a single sentence stared back at me. Why you did not open the window when all I sought was love. This was weird. I bought some bread to make breakfast. I told the grocer the whole story. He informed me that this woman is mentally ill. Peacefully, he said. This neighbor is constantly harassing him and doing things to not allow him any peace or rest. The police don't believe him. There are so many unstable neighbors nowadays, unreal. Well, just pretend you don't see them and most will stop, he said. Please feel free to leave your comment below. What should you do if your neighbors keep harassing you by yelling insults at you or flipping you off while they are in their yard? Your feedback fuels my writing fire. Let me know what you thought of the stories in the comments below. Did you ever encounter an annoying neighbor? Share your stories in the comments.